Hello everybody to Nagadic Sector Fasting. Today, this is the first lecture, and I'm gonna talk about novel. And in this lecture, I'm gonna talk about a biography about the life of Key Fitzgerald. So, actually, I proposed such titles for each idea, just to make the idea more clear and easier. And you could choose whatever you want. Um, as I've just said, I want to make the idea more clear. That's why I suggested such titles for the idea. So, uh, I'm gonna talk about the life of Keith Fitzgerald, about his birth and living, his study, and his life in the army, and Fitzgerald and his love, and the reflection of some events in his life on his literary writings, or specifically The Great Gatsby, and also I'm gonna talk about his literary works, his novels, and last of all, I'm gonna talk about the Jazz Age. Since this novel was written in that period, so it's important to talk about this period and its characteristics. However, so let's talk about Fitzgerald, his birth. Where was he born and where did he live? Keith Fitzgerald was born in 1896. He is American writer, and he was born in this year, in the in the 19th century, and he was raised in Minnesota. Minnesota, it is one of the states that the United States consisted of. Then he traveled to the New York. So now let's move on to the next step. His study. As any another kid, when he reached to the age of 7 years old, his parents sent him to the school, and actually, though he was an intelligent child, he did poorly at school. So that's why he was sent to the New Jersey boarding school. Boarding school, it is a school in which a student studies and lives. Sorry. So, so it represents his home and his social home and his it represents also his academic place. So after when he passed a boarding school, then when he succeed from this, or he passed this this stage in the boarding school, he he joined to the College of Princeton in 1913. And due to troubles, academic troubles and apathy, because at the college he fell in love with a girl, and so there was, he was suffering with the, problems, troubles. He didn't graduate. He was not graduated. That's why So instead of completing his study, he joined to the army. Okay, and in the army, his life in the army, of course, he when he enlisting in the army, uh, when the First World War neared its end. In the army, he became a second lieutenant. Lieutenant means an officer, but not with a high rank, but with the low rank. It's called junior officer, and was situated in the camp of Sheridan, his name, in Alabama, and right there he met and fell in love with the wild 17-year-old beauty Zelda Sire. And of course, Zelda Sire, first she delayed their wedding. She delayed their wedding. It was due to her, overpowering desire of fun, leisure, and wealth. So she delayed their wedding until he could prove a success. Okay, so then Fitzgerald, it was kind of a condition, that girl, is common, I think is common matter, that whenever a girl, sometime when girl is a beautiful and rich, so they want to, she want to just to be sure, to ensure herself whether her partner loves her or not. That's why she puts such condition. So after this, when she demands a success, Fitzgerald, became a literary sensation, earning a lot of money and fame to convince Zelda to marry him. So, having become a celebrity, Fitzgerald fell into a wild and reckless lifestyle of parties and decadence. Now, let's move on to this point, the reflection of some events in his life on his novel, Great Gatsby, or the impact, the influence of these events that happened in his previous life on his writing. In fact, we notice that we have two main characters in his novel, Jay Gatsby and Nick Gataway, and both of them are, similar to the Fitzgerald in 2 points. Okay, so first let us to talk about the similarity between Jay Gatsby and Fitzgerald. Jay Gatsby is also, he is a young man who idolizes wealth and leisure, and who fell in love of a young woman when he was in the in the military camp in the south. This is the first similarity between Jay Gatsby and Fitzgerald. The second one, Jay Gatsby is also a masses accumulate a lot of money, just to win disease love, right? The second character we have also Nick Carraway. Carraway is also a thoughtful, like Fitzgerald, he is a thoughtful man who, first who traveled from Minnesota to travel to Minnesota and studied in the Ivy League school. So his life is quite similar to the life of Chief Fitzgerald. And also the second similarity between Nick Carraway and Fitzgerald, that this character also found himself in wild and reckless, or he found his new lifestyle, seductive and exciting. Okay. Now, what about the Fitzgerald's literary works? In fact, he wrote more than one novel, about 8 novels or short stories, such as of course his famous work, The Great Gatsby, published in 1925, and also he wrote A Tender Is the Night that published in 1935, and also he had The Last Icon and The Beautiful and The Damned. And he has another extra stories, but I didn't mention them right here. You could, you can look them up if you want. Now, last of all, the Jazz Age. Of course, this novel, The Great Gatsby, was written in that period of Jazz Age in the 20th century, right? And the Jazz Age, of course, what's meant by Jazz Age? The Jazz Age, it is that period which was famous with the music of jazz. And the music of jazz is a combination of American and African, European and African music, which is called a jazz. And the first person that used this term jazz is Fitzgerald, that when he talked about, or he used in his short story that's called Tales in the Jazz Age. And the Jazz Age also has features. Okay, so one of the features that this, the Jazz Age was characterized by is prosperity. The American, economy was raised. Also, it characterized, this period, characterized by cultural change, and also characterized by prohibition. Prohibition means there is no any projection or importation for alcoholic beverages from the period from the 1920 until 1933. Okay, Uh,